news,
Lobbyists are fed up with politicians accepting their money and then not coming through.
opinion,
When the automated police force orders you inside, that's just them doing their job.
remix.
Even lost my job partially due to the whole global warming issue. Increase in oil prices. This guy's scared.
This is Top Story with KLIXcast and Jill Skeen,
I've been a listener for about 20 years.
I'm talking to you makes me feel better.
where the news meets your opinion. Pick up the phone and talk about it. 736-0300. That's 736-0300. Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, KLIXcast and Jill Skeen.
Well, that must be us. Good morning. 736-0300 is the number to call, and good morning to Jill.
Good morning, Cal. I was going to say, where's the hump day music? I feel like I've had so much.
Not hump day yet.
No, I had Rise and Shine this morning, which I have to say officially I'm tired, okay? After Ice Cream Fun Day, my mom's birthday, we had Tom's getting ready. I'm like, oh. I ended up making Jack Holland a vegan lasagna last night to bring it to him today.
Even though you won the bet.
Even though I won, this is what because he's going vegan for a week, felt low belly for him, and I wanted to thank him for raising money for Rotary, so I made him a lasagna that he
You're talking about Jack the Weatherman at KMVT.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we had a bet. I won the bet. What the heck did I win? I don't even know what I won now.
$316 was the last thing I heard.
Oh, yeah. But what was my bet? Oh, that he had to go vegan for a week. I'm like, wait, what did I win? I didn't get anything out of this. So anyway, I made him a vegan lasagna last night, too, and got up at like 4 to prep for the
Oh, my gosh.
the coleslaw episode. I feel like I've had 5 days and 3 already, I'm like, what day is this?
And you didn't bring me any coleslaw.
I didn't. I went home afterwards, and so they kept some, and then I just put some in the refrigerator, gave it to Tom for lunch.
Fine.
I'm sorry.
I see.
I gave it to my other husband.
Yeah, right.
not my work husband. But actually, it was his birthday last night, and I surprised him with a plaque for his hole-in-one that he got in a golf tournament in March. So he was very
cool.
surprised. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's been nice. But you know how you have like so much packed into days, you feel like
Yeah, I know.
it can't possibly just be Tuesday.
In my advanced age, I'm trying to slow down.
Oy. Oy. And P.S. an update. Tomorrow is my appointment with the pet psychic.
Oh, a pet psychic.
I got a number from my sister-in-law in Utah about another pet psychic because the other one didn't work out so well. So we have an appointment tomorrow at 2. She says she can she likes talking to cats, she said. I said, that's good. And then she says she could she likes to talk to cats that have passed. So I'm hoping she'll talk to Lizzie. And also talk to Gracie and have a little chat with Gracie. What's been going on? She's been meowing a lot, waking mommy and daddy up. So we'll let you know on Thursday how the pet psychic went.
All right.
Yes, tomorrow. So we'll see.
All right. Now, do you take the pets there, or is it on the phone?
No, it's on the phone. I just have to send her. I have to take a picture of Gracie and send one of Lizzie to her. So she can see my 2 little snowflakes.
I see. Okay. Well, let us know how that turns out.
You think?
Yeah.
Aren't you curious?
Oh, yeah.
I know.
I am. I'm curious.
No, I think it'd be kind of funny. I'm curious, too. I'm like, I'll know if it's Lizzie because Lizzie was quite the unique cat. She'll probably talk about how she misses her tea in the morning. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Sounds good.
We'll find out, huh?
Coming up at 8:30, we have Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans. We'll find out the latest on what's going on with the Idaho GOP.
As the world turns.
And I think we have Twin Falls County Prosecutor Grant Loebs at 9 this morning. He usually comes in on the, the second Tuesday of the month. And so, I don't know. I sent him a couple of emails. I know he's a busy guy. He never responded, but a lot of times he doesn't. So we'll just plan on him coming in. If he doesn't,
did his people contact your people?
They didn't.
Okay, so we're going to have to get to the bottom
of that. If he doesn't know, we do have an interesting insight to the situation on the southern border.
Oh, good.
So, I don't know, it's just an interesting, giving personal accounts and such.
Just saying. One
yeah,
of those
I know,
stories.
just because it's from Fox News.
Oh, yeah, it's totally factual.
Yes. Well, hey.
Balanced, and we'll see.
We'll see. At any rate, though, we do have some news to talk about this morning. The Preacher fire started just before 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, grew to over 3,500 acres.
Oh, goodness.
According to the BLM, the fire was burning 6 miles southwest of Cary and it closed a 24-mile stretch of Highway 26 from between Cary and Richfield.
Wow.
So here we go again. Remember,
I know
the last few years have kind of been like this. In the summertime, everything just dries up, and one bolt of lightning is all it takes.
Right. Where
And
did I
it's
hear
gone.
there were like 6 fires? Was it in the Frank Church Wilderness?
I don't know. I think it's up north of Boise.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
It was from lightning strikes.
Yeah, so we have a lot of fires going on right now.
I know it. And remember last year, like people in their cabins near
Oh,
Fairfield
yeah.
and calling
Yep.
us, and it's bad.
Every
So
year,
hopefully-
it's turning out to be the same thing every year.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, thunderstorms and winds in the area fanned the flames. Officials with Blaine County say that there are a bunch of engines and dozers working some fires up there. So, looks like central Idaho is kind of getting bashed right now with fires.
Oh, goodness.
And
the East Coast is getting like a cold front.
a cold front and
Yeah.
floods and everything else.
I
But,
know.
I don't know. It's kind of the way
We're
it
pretty
is
lucky
around here.
here,
We're
yeah.
having a continued drought. I keep going back to what Brian Olmsted from the Canal Company says.
Yeah.
He says, we've been in a drought for, 12,000 years. It's just the extent of how severe it is. So, and, he's
It's
right.
always a drought,
We're in
yeah.
a desert, and that's what deserts do. They
Well,
dry
Mom-
up in the summertime. And
My mom being from Texas, it freaks her out with the watering of the ag behind us. She goes, they should be watering. They're used to being in drought conditions.
oh, yeah.
Where you don't see watering. And she goes, they never turn these things off. It's like, well, Mom, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
But she's not used
Different
to
area
it.
up here,
Yeah.
right.
She's like, wow, this is such all the water.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to be saying that in a few years,
Yes. Yeah, I'm afraid so.
I know.
I'm afraid so.
I'm afraid so, too.
In what should be known as the birthplace of the Darwin Awards, a fighting bull gored 2 Australians and a Spaniard, spreading panic in a hair-raising final running of the bulls at Spain's San Fermin Festival on Monday. Hundreds of people dashed alongside the 6 half-ton beasts and their accompanying steer through the cobblestone streets of Pamplona in the 8th run. There were 9 spine-chilling moments when one bull separated from the pack and charged 3 runners, pinning them against walls and barriers while trying to gore them. A Navarra regional government statement said a 26-year-old Australian, identified only by his initials JG, was gored in the chest, abdomen, and left thigh. And a 24-year-old Australian, initials JM, was gored in the right thigh. A 27-year-old Spaniard with the initials EGE suffered 3 horn wounds in the
Yikes.
legs. 5 Spaniards were also hospitalized for other injuries. Man, I'll tell you what, 15 people have died from the goring since record-keeping began back in 1924.
That actually seems like a low number
It does.
for
It does.
1924, but that is so crazy.
That'd be 90 years
It
for
is
90
so
years.
crazy why they want to do. You know what? It's just, I think it's just the male ego, the testosterone. I'm honestly.
And these same people would be walking down the street, trip over a crack in the sidewalk, and they would
Yeah.
want to sue the city.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yet they would go hop in something like that and be gored by the bulls. And
It
that's
is
just
crazy, but
I don't know.
I don't know. Just let the bulls alone. It's like the bullfighting. I went to one. I was like so disgusted. I couldn't deal.
I don't think I would like to go see
It
a
was
bullfight
awful,
either.
awful.
I find the older I get,
This is when I was
the
in
less
college
that
and
stuff I like.
I was studying in Spain and for a summer, and we went to one. It was so disgusting. I was sick to my stomach for the bull. They just torture it.
Yeah, I know.
It's awful.
Palestinian militants fired rockets. Apparently, there's an update to this even. Palestinian militants fired rockets at Israel today after it agreed to an Egyptian proposal to end the week-old Gaza conflict. And Hamas leader said the Islamist group was still undecided on whether to accept the ceasefire.
Yeah, well, they broke the ceasefire. And so I have no idea what they're thinking. And I think they think, well, we'll win the PR war. You know what? These civilians are being killed, which they are, and it's unfortunate. But why do they continue to do this? And if we had our neighboring countries raining rockets down upon us day after day for years. You get to the point, you're like, enough. Why are they doing this? Enough. What is their point? And these people, there is no protection. They hide stuff in between where civilians are. There's no place for these people to go. And these people defend Hamas? Oh, they're defending us. Oh,
I don't get it. These
just
are
firing
evil
rockets.
These are evil people, and I just wish that Israel would bring down the gates of hell to these people.
Think they're about to
turn it into a glass parking lot. They're going to have to.
Well, their Iron Dome is protecting the people in the bigger cities, and I worry about my family that lives over there.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
Just stop firing rockets. What is your problem? You won't have people that are killed. Just
they don't want the Jewish
rockets.
people there, and it's going to continue until Armageddon, I guess. 7360300, top story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Joe was just talking about the running of all that bullfights and everything, torturing the bulls and everything.
Yeah.
You remember back when they were having the big controversy over torture under the Bush administration. The Attorney General under Bush stated that they would no longer call it torture, they would call it pressure, and if anyone died from pressure, it was okay. And then John Yoo, the top White House counsel, he went a little farther. He says that it's okay to torture children in front of their parents to get the information you need, including sexually.
Nice.
That's the United States government.
Well, they're definitely using pressure on the bulls in bullfights. It's just disgusting anyway.
I don't know.
That whole thing was disgusting.
It is an interesting world in which we live.
And according to Dick Cheney, they never tortured anyone. Waterboarding wasn't tortured. Maybe we should do it on him and see how he likes it. What do you think? Do it on Hamas.
Do it on Hamas.
They're getting theirs. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Just stop already,
It's an interesting world in which we live, and it is becoming more interesting day after day after day. It just is. One more thing here. The frequent use of such gadgets as smartphones and iPads is actually making some people sick.
Really?
And then, as an article in the most recent issue of the journal Pediatrics pointed out, one 11-year-old boy's persistent rash turned out to be due to the frequent use of his iPad.
Was it on his legs, like the heat or something?
I don't know. It turned out that the child was allergic to the nickel on the exterior of the device.
Oh.
So probably a lot of high-tech gadgets, whether it's iPhones or tablets or computers, are made of aluminum, explained CNET senior editor Dan Ackerman. They're made of stainless steel, but they can have alloys that have nickel in them. Meanwhile, allergist Dr. Clifford Bassett of Allergy and Asthma Care of New York said that he is seeing more patients with skin rashes as a result of gadgets made with nickel.
Maybe they should have a blanket or shorts or
banky,
a little pad or something to put it on. Someone will invent that, Cal, because now there's a need.
Well, they've got they've got things you can put iPads in, little carriers and such. I don't know.
Cover your little legs, snowflakes. Come on.
I just bought a new iPhone, and it hasn't bothered me yet. But
no?
I don't live with it like some people do, I guess.
Kelly, are you kidding me? How can you say that?
Well,
are you kidding me?
I'm not living with it. It's just sitting over here minding its own business
controlling
right now.
Your life.
7360300 is the number to call on Top Story. 7360300 was the number to call here this morning on Top Story. We got Steve Millington coming up with the Twin Falls Republicans here shortly. But first, wanted to tell you that Far More of Idaho has what is called a Certiset. With the Certiset system, you're able to grow and harvest every square inch of your field. You don't have to spray the borders to keep the pipe clear anymore. No more costly labor to move the pipe. This is a flexible pipe that you put out in the field, and then there's an attachment that goes on your swather that picks up the pipe, puts it over the header, drops it out the back, and then you can mow underneath it or swath underneath it, and it just moves the pipe around and out of the way. So you're going to save yourself a lot of money on something like this. So once again, this doesn't cost, it pays. And you can ask the folks about it at Farmore of Idaho, 324-3341, or they're also online at farmoreofidaho.com.
The Democrats' secular progressive move, political correctness is killing us too. They want to take the money from the hard-working man and give it to the lazy folks that don't give a damn. Democrats and liberals, shame on you. Don't punish us all, just to please a few. You're holding people back while we're picking up the slack, and that's why we can't vote for a Democrat. Oh no, oh no, no, no.
Okay, I admit that's my fault. My fault.
What is going on?
I didn't look at the clock, and Steve Millington is here with his cheering section today.
Yeah,
and
I know. I kept saying, "What are we talking about?" Because I knew we had one more segment.
I know.
You're just like in La
I'm
Land.
sorry. I was thinking it was 8:30. You were thinking today was Wednesday. I can think it's 8:30. So
I'm
leave
sorry.
me alone.
At least I know the schedule of our own show.
I'm only off 5
I'm
minutes.
just
You're
off
off
a day.
24 hours.
I'm still on the show. Hello. I know what segment's happening. Anyway, so we have Steve Millington here with his lovely wife, Natalie. So if you see a KLIXcast, you'll see Natalie sitting here.
Yeah.
Yay. And their two beautiful grandchildren.
Yeah, 2 of their grandchildren.
Kylie and
Who are
McKay.
Kylie and McKay. They are the Sugar City grandkids.
I see. Very nice.
Yeah,
Where's Sugar City?
They get to spend. They get by Rexburg.
Ah, okay.
They get to spend a few days with Nana and Papa, and
maybe we should put them on the radio and hear the real truth behind.
Papa. No, we had a long talk about that already. We are not going
Tell
there.
us
no matter
the
what
truth.
they ask you, don't answer.
Do not say
That's
anything.
right. Kelly has candy. Anyway, Kelly always has candy somewhere. There's something somewhere.
Well, anyway, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we're all verklempt.
You know, what happens normally, though, we get to talking with Steve, and we don't get to cover all of the subjects.
Now we have the
so now
chance.
I guess we'll just give him a little extra time.
Because I'm kind of enthralled with the Republican soap opera that's going on.
The drama
as
continues and as the world turns.
What
My
is
good
happening
gracious.
as the world turns in Republican politics?
You know, it just keeps going round and round. We talked last week that the National Republican Committee sent out a letter that says, according to the bylaws and the regulations, there is no party chairman, and the meeting, which is going to take place on August 2nd in Boise, will be to elect a new Idaho State party chairman. And that will be that individual from that election will be the one that the National Republican Party recognizes as the leadership in the state of Idaho, state party chairman in the state of Idaho.
So has Barry Peterson, has he changed? Has anyone been able to get into the office, or is it just Barry?
Nope, just Barry. Well,
and what about the person that he hired?
He does have a administrative assistant working in the office. I understand that the office is open and unlocked, and people are able to get work done. Some interesting things have occurred. The bank where the Idaho GOP, the Central Committee, has their checking account where they take care of their funds, has said, there's too much drama here for us.
They've canceled your account.
we are not going to pay cash any checks issued.
Oh.
Because nobody knows who's the boss, nobody knows who's in charge, and we're just opening ourselves up to all kinds of grief and agony. So we're not paying any checks that you write.
So now the Republican Party can't pay their bills. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
What is going on?
What is going on?
Is Barry Peterson still acting as the party chairman?
Yes, he is. As near as I understand, yes, he is. And here's just a little sidebar for you. They're going to have this meeting in Boise on August 2nd, but because the bank won't cash any checks, the party Central Committee cannot pay the hotel for the use of their convention room.
Oh, wow.
Oh, for the August 2nd meeting?
Well, what about the
August 2nd meeting?
What about the first, the first vice chair? Isn't that Mike Matthews? Can he step in?
He can't. He doesn't have check. Well, they don't care who signs the check. They're not going to honor the check because of the turmoil and the upset. And
Well, I can understand
nobody
because
knows
who
who's
has
on
signing
first.
authority? What if all of a sudden Barry Peterson took all the money out? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what would and then started his own
And
little
then the
group
bank-
or
the bank
whatever?
comes-
Yeah.
The GOP comes back to the bank and say, "What were you thinking?" And the bank said, "Well, it was okay," and so we paid it. And I'm on the bank side on that one.
Yeah, I am too. So right now the room for the convention for August 2nd
is paid for.
It is? I thought you said they
yes.
weren't going to.
A call went out to county central committees. We need help to pay the bill.
Oh my gosh.
And Twin Falls County Central Committee, bless your hearts, you wonderful, wonderful Magic Valley Republicans. We paid over half the cost of the facility.
How much is the facility?
Well, we'll be right back here with Steve Millington on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And, being the month of July, everybody likes to go camping in July. Even though half of the state might be on fire, there are still places to go camping. And
just go around where the smoke is.
Yeah, that's right. Or
drive around it.
Go to the South Hills.
Yeah.
There's a lot of area up there. It's
We
a
don't
little
see
bit
smoke there.
A little cooler up there. It's a little higher in elevation. And Bish's RV can help you do that because they're having a big blowout sale right now on their entire inventory of Starcraft and Dutchman travel trailers. Plus, you'll get $1,000 in parts and accessories with your new travel trailer purchase. And that's going on again through July at Bish's RV in Twin Falls. They're at the Curry Crossing. You can't miss them. You're driving by the Curry Crossing out there, and you see this huge wave of RVs sitting out there. That's Bish's RV. So tell them that Kelly and Jill and Steve and Natalie and the grandkids sent you. All right?
Kylie and McKay. You can
Kylie and
remember.
McKay. That's right. I should remember Kylie because I have a granddaughter named Kylie.
We just had McKay and my brother-in-law, remember?
Yeah,
last
that's
week.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's an odd first name. And now this week I've heard of two of them.
It's weird.
Weird how that works.
Weird.
Huh? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, okay, I can't play the open now because we're already started with Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans. So got started 5 minutes early. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking.
That's okay.
Okay.
We need an extra minute. As the world turns.
Yeah.
Kelly,
Okay, so last Steve left us, the Republican Party had to gather funds from around the counties to pay for the convention center August 2nd.
And the agreement is that after this issue is resolved, the state central committee will reimburse the counties.
Okay.
So, but in the meantime, we need to make sure that we have a facility available to hold our state central committee meeting.
Now, how many people are going to be there August 2nd?
I think the total numbers included in the state central committee is 220.
Okay, so you need a big facility, yeah.
By some small number, between 15 and 215 to 225.
So I have one more question. If the bank is not letting them write checks, how is the help being paid? Because they hired that person.
That's an interesting question. No one has been able to answer that question for me. It might be that they will allow a payroll check to go through, but if we're doing anything else, who knows?
Of course, was she hired officially or no? She was hired by Barry Peterson. So is she officially an employee? No. I keep asking the good questions.
One of the mounting questions.
Yeah, that's another one of the interesting questions that we do not have an answer to at this point.
Okay, great.
Wow. Is this affecting the candidates, do you think?
Indirectly, yes, it is. Directly, not so much. You see, the primary election campaigning season does not normally begin until the 1st of September.
Yeah.
Labor Day weekend, we all start the big campaign push.
Yeah.
Now, are the candidates just kind of standing around twiddling their thumbs? No, they're not. They're working on all kinds of opportunities to get out to visit with people.
Parades and fairs
and fairs and all that kind of stuff. That's all on the schedule for everybody, and they keep going. But the official kickoff date is like Labor Day weekend. Now, it does make it a little uncomfortable because instead of having a central clearing point where they can clear everything and go to the central committee, state GOP central committee, and say, okay, give us a list of all of the activities throughout the state, like Twin Falls County, for example, has its summer picnic on August the 13th. That's a Wednesday night, City Park, 6 o'clock. We have already got confirmations from the governor, the lieutenant governor, Risch, and Simpson, and I'm sure the other...
When is that, Steve?
August the 16th. That's
okay. So that's
13,
2 weeks.
13.
So it's almost 2 weeks after the.
Yeah.
So do you think they'll be in? I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, don't you think, for the governor?
And then, the
honestly,
thing of it
that
is,
you couldn't control what's happening at the convention. They had, 2 senators there. They had, 2 representatives, the governor, and no one could have taken control and organized that thing?
The thing we have to understand about the state convention is that the state party chairman it directs that convention. And he appoints a person to manage the convention, to be the convention chairman. And he appointed Raul Labrador to be the convention chairman. And that thing spun out of control so fast that it just...
I think that was their plan, though. They didn't want anything to get done, don't you?
It was kind of a coup, wasn't it? I look back on it and see it kind of as a coup.
I think that the appointments to the Credentials Committee were all bogus. They just lined that up with the intent of disrupting the entire convention. And once that feeling became prevalent through all of the members of the convention, the attendees, the delegates to the convention, it just spiraled out of control. And the thing that happened was that everybody began to say to themselves, the sooner we shut this thing down, the better off we're all going to be.
Yeah.
But it's not working out that way, is it?
No, it isn't. It
isn't.
Just continued on and on and on.
This is really something.
The Central Committee meeting in Boise on August 2nd, much more limited attendees, much more limited. And the agenda is basically only one item long, the election of new state party officers.
Right.
Chairman, first vice chair, second vice chair, secretary, treasurer, adjourn the meeting, and then the next regular...
We'll be right back with Steve Millington. 7360300, the number to call. We have Steve Millington with us from the Twin Falls Republicans. Before we get back to Steve, though, let's ask Jill about renting mailboxes.
That's right, because I think the Republican Party might need a mailbox because they can't get into their office. So if you need to rent a mailbox, Steve, you just go to the UPS store. Tell them that Joe or Kelly sent you, and you can get 1, 2, or 3 additional months free off your lease, depending on what lease you decide. So if you're a home business without a retail location, if you're an organization without a business location, just go to the UPS store. You're moving, something like that, just go to the UPS store, rent a mailbox, tell them that Joe or Kelly sent you, and you'll receive 1, 2, or 3 additional months free. While you're there, you can ship, you can pack, you can copy. There's no drop-off fees for prepaid packages or mail, and you can easily design or upload your projects from any place, anytime. Corner of Blue Lakes and Addison. Go in there and tell them that Joe, Kelly, and Steve sent you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Actually, I guess if I got the 1, 2, or 3 months additional free, then I could cancel as soon as we get this resolved, and it wouldn't cost me anything.
Yeah, there you go.
It depends on the size of the lease.
I'm sure the UPS store will really
You can do a 3-month lease with
Whoa.
1 month free, but you guys might need to have your mail sent somewhere when he's locked in his office, not letting anyone in.
We have offered that if this thing runs into deadlock, they could move the state central committee function to Twin Falls, and we would take it over and handle it for them.
Okay, so you might need a mailbox.
That's kind of interesting, because what about Ada County? Doesn't Ada County have a pretty? I mean, we call it the state of Ada. Don't they have a pretty strong Republican contingency there? And I find it interesting that Twin Falls had to come up with half of the money to bail them out. Where's Ada County and some of these other big Republican areas?
Sometimes it's easier to go to your friends, and the state knew. That they had a friend in Twin Falls County, and they made a phone call, and we said, got you covered.
Okay.
Just that quick.
All right.
So it wasn't an issue. Now, as far as the biennial convention, was up in Moscow a month ago, Ada County had a huge contingent, 102 people, delegates. Twin Falls had 23.
Wow.
Okay.
Did they pay the bill? Because I know some people were upset and left the convention and said they weren't going to pay. They didn't pay the bill.
No one knows for sure yet how that all worked out.
Come on.
I heard a very reliable source tell me that we have paid the bills, we have covered all the cost of the convention in Moscow, and we're good.
Okay.
So that now. That's incorrect. We have enough money to pay all the bills. We can't get the bills paid because the bank will not release funds from the state central.
So you hadn't paid those yet.
So they're still.
I'm sure those people will understand.
Oh yeah, me too.
Just like Idaho Power and all those, they'll just say, "Sure, we understand you have a little dispute.
The
No
University
worries."
of Idaho Kibby
Tell
Dome.
them your hard drive crashed. It worked for Lois Lerner.
Right. Our hard drive crashed. Every hard drive in the Republic.
Yes, there you go. See, stuff happens.
Yeah, right. Stuff happens.
Okay.
Exactly.
Do we have a caller?
We have a caller. Top story. You're on the air with Steve Millington.
Hello, Steve.
Hey there.
Welcome aboard, buddy.
How you doing?
Too bad we have to listen to Jill's spew of poison about them stupid Democrats.
Now
you know what? We're a two-party country, and come on. Oh, that's all he has to say? How nice. Thanks for that contribution. How lovely.
We're continuing the ongoing as the world turns drama of beating up.
I don't think it's stupid Democrats we're talking about right now. I don't know what's going on with the Republican Party.
They are stupid. You know, part of our problem has been our own making. We've become so successful that we took our eye off of the objective, and the objective is to foster Republican ideals and Republican values, and to elect Republican candidates to all appropriate offices. County offices, all state offices, national offices, and sometimes when we don't have a real good challenge, an enemy, if you will, to focus on, we begin to
well, it sounds like the enemy is within.
Sometimes
I think that faction is not really against Dems. I think it's against the Republican Party. You guys are breaking in too.
In this case, the enemy is from within.
Yeah.
And the tragedy is that if we don't get it under control and get it shut down, the enemy might be from without. And that's when we get into real trouble.
I'm excited for this year.
736-0300. Top story. You're on the air.
The saying goes, hindsight is 20/20. But it seems like the American people don't have the hindsight to look back and see who has been in charge for the last 50 years and brought this country to the totalitarian police state that they're under right now.
That's
excellent. It is the Democrat and Republican Party.
It's both of you. Both of us.
That's interesting. Sometimes we hear this ongoing thing that we need to just take everybody in Washington and throw them all out and start over again. Yeah. And that becomes a very rallying cry for the term limits people.
But no, the term limits never works. But the thing of it is those people turn look at Raul Labrador. He was one of the reasons this thing went awry. He was a new guy. His whole goal was to make sure nothing happened at that convention.
No,
that was it.
At our state convention?
Yeah.
No, well, I don't think that was his goal.
I think it was.
The thing about Raul Labrador is that it spun away from him, from everybody, so fast. It's like
someone had a
driving
plan
on slick roads. Suddenly you find yourself in a spin, and you know that you're supposed to steer counter-cyclical to get but nobody could.
He
even
said
when
he
you
planned
did that,
that
it
for
had gone
3
so far
weeks.
that you just spin around down the road.
No, I think his goal. I think you're naive. I think his goal was exactly what happened. I mean, some of the things they did. What, an hour and a half for roll call? Come on, Steve.
Oh, that was the most stupid thing in the whole world.
I mean, and this is and he was over it, and you know what I'm saying? Come on. He was up for
ludicrous.
a majority House leader, and he can't even do roll call.
It is difficult to justify. It's difficult to defend.
It really is. You needed to be there and watch it unfold. And many times I'd walk around and talk to other county chairs or other delegates, and I'd say, I can't believe what's happening here.
Natalie, were you there?
World?
What did you think? Just being, were you part or just an observer?
I was more of an observer, but I was just amazed at how things were just going downhill, spiraling down, out of control. It was like, who's in charge here, and why can't we get this back on track?
And I don't know do you think it's going to get back on track? I got a feeling I don't think it's going to.
I'm concerned about it, but I certainly have a lot of hope for this. We have the
hope is lovely. Hope and change. Remember that phrase?
It'll get back on track.
Oh, hope and change.
I think it will.
Now, when you look at the State Central Committee, keep in mind that every county has exactly the same number of votes in a State Central Committee. For example, Twin Falls has 4 delegates, a county chairman, state committee man, committee woman, and committee youth. We have 4 votes. Camas County, Fairfield, has 4 votes. Ada County has 4 votes. Power County has 4 votes. Everybody has the same number of votes. And so there is probably less inclination for the thing to get out of control because you're dealing with a more limited, defined group of voters.
Yeah.
Now, will we have a different outcome when the vote is counted? Now, that's an interesting question. We need to see how each county is leaning and what their basic ideologies are. But yeah, we're gonna have a vote. We're gonna have an elected chairman, and we will move forward. So my guess is by early afternoon on August 2nd, we will have a new direction and a new opportunity to begin to work.
Now, Steve, don't you think? Oh, do we have a caller?
Yeah, we have a caller. Top story. You're on the air with Steve Millington. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Hi.
Steve, you said something a minute ago that caught my eye. I'd just like you to expound on it a little bit. Much like Otter's favorite phrase, which I think, other than Magic Valley Miracles, the only one he really seems to know, is Idaho values, Republican values. What are those? Is it to make sure that everybody in the state works for a minimum wage or that nobody gets a decent education? What is a Republican value?
That is probably one of those prominent and difficult questions we ever face. Where do we get these values? We want smaller government. We want more individual responsibility. And when I say smaller government, what that really relates to is less taxes, less intrusion in your life as far as taxes are concerned. I think that...
What does the Republican Party do for the average Idahoan? How does it help the average Idahoan? That's what I'd like to know, because I hear all this slogan, the slogans, but nothing real is ever said. How does the Republican Party help everyday Idahoans?
Well, now, what kind of help do you think that we should provide?
No, I'm not saying provide anything. You're part of the government, okay? You're part. You want to be part of the government. You just ran for office. The government serves its people. Is that correct?
It's supposed to. That's the objective.
It's supposed to be involved in education. Doesn't the state run the education in the state?
It provides the funding for it.
Correct. What little funding there is. But I keep hearing all this pandering, this sloganeering, and yet nobody can really tell me how the Republican Party, what ideas the Republican Party has that actually helps people in this state.
That is a fascinating question.
Well, when you're against, raising the minimum wage, that affects the individual person.
Let's just talk about minimum wage for 1 minute. The minimum wage is $7.25. Is that what it is?
Yeah, 7.25.
So it's almost a little
They want to
over...
raise it to 10. Well, if 10 really works, what's wrong with 20?
Well, why not 10?
If the objective is to see to it that they have a livable wage, why not make it 20? And if that works, why don't they make it 40?
But why don't you just deal with realistic concepts? Like, what is wrong with... Because, honestly, $7.25 is about maybe a little over $14,000 a year. Who could really
15.
live on that? Who could live on that? But if
these are not livable positions. They're entry-level positions.
That's not true, though.
And people are they're not supposed to
That's not true,
migrate to that field and stay there forever. They should have an objective to improve their own personal position and place in life and move up the chain.
60% of those jobs are by women and mothers, single mothers, and people are. But why should we not raise the minimum wage if we are subsidizing companies' workforces through food stamps and other issues through government subsidies?
Well, those are
why
federal
shouldn't
government.
Those be, but why shouldn't those be
government subsidies?
But why wouldn't the Republican Party be for
we have more
increasing
people on
minimum
subsidies
wage
in this country than we have working jobs?
Well, do you think because you're getting $7.25 an hour?
Our society has taken on the entitlement attitude now. It used to be you got a job out of high school or whatever working for the minimum wage, and then you would better yourself up through life.
Through a progression
when you got married at the age of 21 and 22, you rent this little hole in the wall. And then as you get a better job and time goes on and you get better, then you can buy you a little house and then you can buy you a bigger house. A society now is like the kids who get married and those who bother to get married, and then all of a sudden they want what mom and dad has. They want the 3-car garage, they want the boats and the motorcycles, and they want the 3,000 square foot home rather than wanting to work themselves up. And I think that has permeated into our wage issue. When they get out of high school or college, they want everything that life has to offer right then,
immediately,
and they expect it.
No, that's not what you're talking about. It's not even a livable wage.
That's too bad.
The other
then
part
better
about that,
yourself.
There is
we are paying for that.
There is absolutely no empirical evidence that indicates that raising the minimum wage by any amount is going to beneficially improve the status of the economy.
That is not true. There is absolutely empirical evidence that shows that the minimum wage...
The good thing about living in the Magic Valley is we have an awful lot of that substance that's created as byproducts from cattle.
That is not true. It has shown to improve the economy. Absolutely. Go look it up.
Right.
But
and,
you know
we
what?
could raise the
Why
minimum
not?
wage to $20 an hour, and my Big Mac will cost me about $35.
That is not true.
Oh,
come on, stick to some facts, Steve. But why should we be subsidizing?
Wages, the people who pay for that wage increase are the
are
people who buy the product.
And guess what? The people whose wages are going up goes back into the economy directly. And so you know what? Why would the Republicans vote against not helping the middle class?
Doesn't everybody's money go back into the economy directly?
No, actually it doesn't.
Oh,
a lot
really?
of the high-end people, they go into investments. These people go right back into the economy immediately.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're out of time. We'll have to pursue this next time.
Today.
I think the Republican Party has to look at their policy and family values to help the middle class.
Well, we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Steve. Thank you.
Steve.
Thanks, Natalie. Thanks to the grandkids
Bye,
for coming
McKay.
in.
Bye, Kylie. Gosh.
And welcome back to Top Story. 736-0300 is always the number to call. Welcome back, Jill.
Thank you, Kelly.
What's it getting to? It's like 78 right now.
They say actually this afternoon, because of course I was at Rise and Shine listening to the weather all morning, that there was going to be some storm that was going to come through this afternoon. Winds and cool down. And
that would be nice.
It's going to cool down to what, 90?
Oh man, we'll be wearing our jackets around here.
I have my jacket on, yeah.
Yeah, I know you do. We have Twin Falls County Prosecutor Grant Lobes with us this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Welcome back.
We're doing okay.
Love the music.
Yes.
Grant walks around with that music playing at all times. He's like the cops.
Yeah, he has...
bad boys.
He has his Walkman that just is in a continual loop.
Walkman takes you back to what, 1978 or something?
Yeah, back into the 80s anyway.
He has his moon ball.
Isn't a Walkman like a cassette tape?
It is.
I think it is.
Yeah, that's the Walkman is what really put personal music on the map. Carrying it around, people were jogging and everything.
I never did that. I always liked
now
to
we've
jog
got the
with
iPad
nothing.
or the iPods and all that kind of stuff.
I just like to have my own thoughts and my own little music in my head.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Good to be here.
One of the things, one of the reasons I brought up the temperature, 77. There's been like 16 kids.
Yes.
Die in cars
across the country
this year. Across the country, been left in a hot car, and I know that there's one case here where it looks like it was an intentional thing, and then the parents just planned it that way, which would obviously, I would think, be a murder deal. But what happens when? How is this stuff prosecuted, or is it prosecuted when somebody just has their kid in their car and they decide they're going to stop at the bar for a few hours, so they pull over and go into the bar and their kid dies?
Well, what if you go into work? Maybe it's just something maybe you just forget them. Have we had anything like that here?
Well, fortunately not. But of course, with this kind of temperature, it doesn't take very long for your car to get swelteringly hot. If it's 98 degrees outside and you lock your car and it sits in the sun, it's going to be 130, 140 in there.
Yeah.
I don't. If
you
ever
like 15, 20 minutes.
If you ever want to, scare yourself, just put a thermometer in the car and look at it when you open the door. It's pretty bad. And if somebody is foolish enough to intentionally leave a child in a car like that, that is a prosecutable thing, even if they don't intend to kill the child. Now, the example you're citing is from, I can't remember what state that is, where that where
I
that
don't
case
remember
is.
either.
But that's looking like the person might have intentionally
Right.
left the child there, having done some research on how long it takes to die when you're in
Right.
a hot car, and then doing that on purpose. Obviously, that would be a first-degree murder kind of incident. If you are just kind of an idiot and do it on purpose, that is, you purposely leave the child in the car, but you don't intend to kill the child.
Yeah.
Then
Thinking,
you can,
they'll be all right till I get back.
right, you can still be prosecuted under the injury to child statute. Makes it a crime to subject a child to anything that is likely to cause death or great bodily injury. And then if the child dies as a result, in fact does die, then you can be prosecuted for involuntary manslaughter based on your violation of the injury to child statute. So it is a crime. It's a serious crime. It carries up to 10 years in prison. And my guess is that somebody who was convicted of that would see some actual prison time. It wouldn't be a probation deal, because that's obviously it's obviously stupid to do. And if you leave a child intentionally in a car, and some harm comes to them, you should get ready for some serious time, I think.
And some of them, I guess, are even non-intentional. I mean, they put their kid in the car and then they forget they're there and then they get out. I mean, I know that these sound like ridiculous situations, but
well, and there's has to be, in any crime, there has to be an intent to do something. You can't, if something is completely an accident. If the child scampers into the back of the station wagon and you don't know they're there and they're hiding, playing a game on you, and you drive to work and you leave the child in the car, all day, then that wouldn't be a crime if you didn't have any intent to do anything.
Right.
But if you leave the child in the car seat in the parking lot at the mall, and you go in and you shop for 2-3 hours and you come out and the child is dead, or even possibly brain damaged or something, I mean, short of death, that's going to be counted as an intentional act, because you got out of the car, leaving the child in
knowing
the car
that it was in there,
with
yeah,
the car locked up on a hot day. So, the main thing, of course, is not to focus on prosecuting these things, but to focus on preventing them, because, if you talk about it on your show, and I think it's gotten a lot of national attention with this awful case that we were referring to, then maybe people will realize how dangerous it is.
yeah, like drunk driving, because that's worked so well.
Well, drunk driving, I mean, the people who get in a car and drive drunk are drunk. And so they're a little bit impaired to start out with. But if you're a mother or a father or a caregiver and you are going shopping and it's so hot that you get out of the car and you say, God, it's hot as heck out here. But then you seal up the car and leave your kid in there,
I know.
I mean, that's a conscious act by a sober person. And so maybe people listening can say, that's...
And they're animals too. I'm including animals.
Yeah, I was going to actually bring that up next.
I mean,
well, it's the same thing.
It's driving me crazy with the animals.
Anything, any animal that you leave in the car, whether it be a child or a dog or a kitten or anything, I mean, that's oven temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave them in the car to the same extent you'd put them in the oven.
Can you be prosecuted for like dogs and cats and stuff?
Yeah, there are cruelty to animals statutes, and obviously there's a different standard completely between that and killing a person. But it's just not a good thing to do.
There's been some debate about if you come upon a vehicle that has a distressed animal or something in it, you can tell that animal is. Can you break the window and without fear of retaliation or, I guess, lawsuits or something, or does that have any control over that?
Well, the answer would be, of course, no. Without fear of retaliation, you can't. I mean, if you take emergency action like that, that's pretty serious. You should be ready for some retaliation. I mean, I can't.
You won't
it's
be.
All based
can you be
on
arrested
facts.
for breaking and entering?
Perhaps. It's all based on the facts of the situation. I would call the police.
But if you see that the person or the dog or whatever is in distress before they get there, I mean, I would do it as opposed to them dying. If you stood there and watched them die, even though you called 911, which one's worse?
Well,
What would that be like?
I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't do it in
Yeah.
a given situation. But Kelly's question was, can I just go around breaking windows if I see a dog or a child in a
No,
car?
I would
And
say
the
if they
answer
were
is no, you
distressed.
can't
Yeah.
without
It wasn't quite
possible,
that flippant, but I understand what
possible
you're saying.
retaliation.
This is why
Now,
he's the prosecutor.
if you feel you have to do it and you can articulate that you did it to save somebody's
Yeah.
life and it was a reasonable decision, then I think you're going to be you're not going to be prosecuted for anything. But I don't want to give people out there license to just carry a
Right.
baton
Right,
around and
right.
beat on windows, because there are also people who see this happen and they get all vigilante and they say, you left your kid in your car, I broke your window. Well, I was standing on the curb, I was talking to somebody, it was only 78 degrees out and the air conditioner was on, the car was running. Well, you have to be reasonable.
Yeah, right.
So I don't want to encourage people to do that any more than I want to encourage them to leave their kids in the car. But, if you use common sense and you use your brain, you can probably avoid getting in trouble for either thing.
So my question was, so say they see something, they call 911, and 911's not getting there in time, and you see the person in distress and die. Are you then found any kind of, like, for not doing anything, just standing there unaccountable? No? You're just...
No, I mean, other than
idiot?
morally and, your conscience, I think, would bother you
But
a little
nothing
bit if
would
you
be
just
like, why
watched
didn't
somebody
you-
die.
Yeah, well, I was waiting for 911, Grant, like that.
Well, I would say the first thing to do if you see something that you think is dangerous is call 911.
Yeah.
Tell them what you're seeing.
Right.
And if you have to act in an emergency capacity and you can justify what you did and why
Yeah.
you did it and it makes sense, that's one thing. But the problem is people always want bright lines. They say, well, if I see a kid in a car, can I break the windows out? No, that's
right,
not
I get that.
true.
But if you start seeing them in distress.
Yeah, common sense really is a good thing to carry around with you.
Do you think people have much
Even in
common
the warm
sense?
weather.
What do you think with your experience? Do you think many people have common sense? Or
I
would you not
think-
have a job if
I
people
think
had
that
common sense?
Most people do. I don't encounter most people in my job.
Your
I
job
encounter the people that are
security-
common
Wow.
sense deprived.
That was a good answer.
Grant has job security because people don't have common sense.
Or maybe even that even most people don't always practice common sense.
That's probably true too.
Yeah, okay. There was a recent Supreme Court ruling that said that police cannot search your smartphone without a warrant. Is this going to change anything? Is this how we were doing it in Idaho anyway, or
Well,
Twin
I
Falls
can't.
County?
I
or-
can't comment about Idaho as a whole. I don't know how every county has been handling this. This is the case that was announced on June 25th,
Yeah.
Riley versus California, which came to the not surprising conclusion that your cell phone and emails and texts and so forth that are on your cell phone are protected from warrantless search. This is something we've been giving some thought to for quite some time because, as technology improves and things come into being that weren't before, people don't communicate privately through the post office as much
Right.
anymore. I mean, it's not just, an envelope with a
Yeah.
letter in it that needs protection. So it was kind of foreseeable that this would happen. We have in Twin Falls, my office has been directing law enforcement to seek a warrant for cell phone data since about 2010, when this issue kind of started coming up, although in different contexts. And of course, it didn't get to the Supreme Court until just last month. But it's not going to change the way we do things here because we've been doing it, for 4 years that way. But I think it is a thing that should underline to law enforcement and to prosecutors and to citizens as well that the point of the Constitution with regard to warrantless searches is that you can't, have a warrantless search of somebody's property. And, the more caution that police and prosecutors show on that, the better. And this, again, we've been doing this for 4 years, but this is just kind of confirmation that, yeah, you need a warrant.
Yeah, we're kind of in the situation right now where, like you say, the laws haven't caught up with technology.
Right, and sometimes you have to think ahead even before the Supreme Court acts or before a case gets there, because if it's obvious to you as a law enforcement person or as a prosecutor that this is the kind of thing that the warrant should issue for, and you just say, well, there's not a case yet, and you just go forward with searches without it, well, then you might be the focus of the next case, and then you might lose the evidence that you gathered.
Yeah.
So it's a better safe than sorry kind of thing, and we're constantly in a position of anticipating the next thing, and better to be ahead than behind.
Twin Falls County Prosecutor Grant Loeb's our guest this morning. 736-0300 if you have any questions or comments. 736-0300 is the number to call here on Top Story with Twin Falls County Prosecutor Grant Loeb's. If you have any questions or comments, now is a good time to call. I would just also like to add that yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Scott Corgatelli.
Scott Corgatelli, congratulations.
Must be Italian, huh?
I think so.
And your $100 word of the day for today is trophy.
Trophy.
Trophy. Trophy.
Trophy.
Go to our website at newsradio1310.com. Click on word of the day. Type in trophy. Listen tomorrow. Hear your name tomorrow. And you played the word today. You win $100.
That's how easy that is.
I'm thinking that Grant might be getting ready to play the word of the day because I saw him write something down when I said the word of the day.
I bet you he's
I
not
wrote down
gonna
the spelling of trophy is what I did, so I don't spell it Trofy.
Oh, okay. No, that would be Trofey.
Okay.
Because you have a long O.
Could be.
Trophy. Okay,
Well,
people, it's
trofeo.
Trophy, in case anyone was
The
wondering.
English language really is a difficult one,
It really is.
Because it's got 14 different words for the same word.
For the word two.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much.
I know.
So at any rate, our guest is County Prosecutor Grant Loeb's. I know sometimes when you make drug arrests and they have cash and they have vehicles, and what happens to that stuff?
Property. I noticed your suit's
property,
looking pretty nice there, Grant. What happens with all this money?
This suit is the product of the 3-for-1 sale at Joseph A. Bank.
So it's not a result of the drug cash that's being collected.
Why would anybody go for the 2-for-1 sale there?
When you got three, I don't know.
I agree. Yeah. But then there's me. I don't go for any of them because I don't even own a suit.
That's obvious, yeah.
Boom!
Now, wait a minute. Remember, I have control over the mic here.
That's true, and you could cut it off, and then I'd have to leave.
What can you do? What can you do with your nice suit? There you go.
But seriously, what is? I mean, first of all, we have to go through a process. The police have to go through a process when they seize something that they believe is used in the furthering of a drug crime or a drug enterprise. They have to prove that. They can't just seize people's stuff because it's their stuff. It has to be something that's being actively used in the perpetration of a drug crime. For instance, the car that you used to drive to deliver the drugs, or the gun that you used to protect your drugs, or the money that you got from selling the drugs. So it has to be intimately tied to the drug crime, number one. Then the police have to seize it properly. They have to make a declaration within a certain period of time. My office then takes a case based on the drug seizure, the forfeiture, and we have to go to a judge to prove that the items that were seized were being used in a drug crime, and then the judge awards it to the Twin Falls County Prosecutor on behalf of the citizens of the state of Idaho. We then hold that money in trust until we get a final word from the judge and the court that the items are forfeited. Then, depending upon what agency seized that, we disperse the money to the agency that seized the items. And depending upon what it is, it's used in different ways. If it's just money, then the money is put in an account in that law enforcement department for use in their drug prevention, drug fighting, drug enforcement
that could
programs.
be to get a drug dog or two.
You're right, a drug
like
dog,
that,
or send somebody to school, or for lab equipment, or any number of things that are directly tied to not just the general department expenses.
So they probably couldn't buy a new police car or something.
You could if it was a drug enforcement car and if it was going to be used by your drug enforcement team.
So anything involved in the drug enforcement area.
Right. And the same then with vehicles that are seized. Generally, vehicles that are seized are sold at auction, and then the proceeds are distributed to the law enforcement agency that seized it. And
same with houses and things like that. Say they bought it to purchase
we don't do
a house.
houses at the county level. That is usually
federal.
done at the AG's level or at the federal level. But we don't seize real property like houses. We seize cars, guns, and money mostly, and of course the drugs. But that it just gets
jewelry
destroyed. It's possible that would be possible, but I don't remember seizing much jewelry. But it's possible that we do that too. That could be things of value that can be tied to the drug enterprise. But just because a person's wearing a nice ring or a nice watch, that doesn't get seized. I mean, you have to prove that
they
it
use
was
drug money
tied
to purchase
with the drug sale.
Top story, you're on the air with Grant Lobes.
Does an individual have to be convicted of a drug crime for his or her property to be seized?
No, there are two different standards. There's a civil standard with regard to the seizure, and there's a criminal standard with regard to the conviction. It's seldom true that somebody's property is successfully seized if they're acquitted, but it is possible, and it has happened sometimes. There are a number of reasons, of course, given the criminal standards, that beyond a reasonable doubt, the evidence that can be suppressed in a criminal case, where the criminal case might not be successful, but where the drug seizure case would be, because you go to a different judge using civil standards of proof rather than criminal standards of proof. So it does happen sometimes. It overwhelmingly is the case, though, that the seized property comes out of a case where there was also a conviction.
We'll be right back to Twin Falls County Prosecutor Grant Lobes. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. We have Twin Falls County Prosecutor Grant Lobes. If you have any questions or comments, now's your chance to get what do we call it, free legal advice.
Yeah, this is it, people.
Yeah, real good advice, like don't leave your kids in the car on a hot day.
That's right. Exactly. Before we get back to Grant, though, I just wanted to say that this low and honey loader we've been talking about now is great for dairies and feedlot operations, something with a lot of livestock that produces a lot of honey. And so if you need to move this honey from point A to point B or get rid of it, however, you need to load it up first, and that's where the low and honey loader comes in. Loads all types of manure from liquid to frozen and dry with fast loading up to 7 miles an hour. Now, we're going to try to figure out maybe someday how to have a contest with somebody with a scoop shovel as opposed to the low and honey loader and see which one's the fastest.
A great marketing event.
Yeah.
Don't you,
I call loader.
I know. I think so.
Yeah. In the meantime, if you want to see one of these in operation, you call Pat Hartzell. He'll help you out. He can get you an appointment at one of these livestock operations that is using one. And his number is 280-1167. That's 280-1167. Pat Hartzell can help you out, and he'd be happy to. You can tell him that Kelly and Gerald and Grant sent you.
Gerald.
Yeah.
Sounds like Gerald.
That's right. We were talking about the money from the drug seizures and the property and such. How much of a, say, I don't know if you can, is there an average of a year about how much that might fit into a budget of a police department? Is it a significant, or is it just kind of once in a while? Or
I think it's fairly significant. It's fairly common. I can't give you numbers because they're different for each agency. I mean, Buell and Filer and, Kimberly and Twin Falls and the county all have programs where they can seize items, and if they're awarded to the state, then they can use it for their law enforcement purposes. I think it's a decent amount of money, and it goes to a good cause. It defrays the cost that taxpayers have to spend to go out and catch other people that are committing this similar crime. So it is directly related to the purpose of the law enforcement agency, and it's another way, as is restitution, that offenders help pay for the system that spends a lot of money tracking them, catching them, and dealing with the problems they cause.
So what do you think about when the states that have legalized some forms of drugs and stuff, how do you think that's affected their budgets? Because honestly, it is funding a lot of things. But now that the state is totally, I don't know, I don't know what's going on in Colorado and Washington, it seems like, or Oregon. It seems like things are just going amiss. How does law enforcement deal with that? And are they losing a lot of the loss of the money?
Since the money is only usable
for
to
drugs, so
enforce
it's just
drugs,
a wash?
and if you legalize drugs, I guess you don't have any reason for the money anymore.
Are they getting rid of the drug
Except that, of course,
dogs, or
they're
what?
not legalizing all drugs. I mean, we're just talking about marijuana in these states, and of course, we seize some money and some items from dealers in marijuana as well. But, probably most of the seizures are from people dealing in methamphetamine or heroin or cocaine or something like that. Yeah.
So my question, too, is those people that are in those states where it's now legal, that are maybe serving sentences because of pot, are they getting out of jail or no?
I don't believe they are. I think that the law, it goes forward rather than backwards.
So is there any way they can go backwards? Because now if it's legal, I mean, how would you feel if you're in jail going, wait, now it's legal, I'm in jail. Do you think they're going to make it right at all?
I have no idea what a state like Colorado is going to do. I mean,
there
doesn't seem to be any rational basis for anything they do there on this issue. So, knock yourselves out. As long as they stay there and we stay here, that's fine. The problem is, of course, that as a state that borders a lot of these states, we're getting a lot of people who come into Idaho saying, hey, I got a medical marijuana card from California. I can have as much as I want, or it's legal in, Washington. And, here's the deal.
What's your answer, Grant?
Washington is not Idaho. And go ahead and do what you want in Washington and Colorado. But when you come here, you actually have to abide by the Idaho laws. And there really isn't a policeman or a state trooper or a prosecutor that's going to give you a pass because it's legal in another state.
So if you're driving through with your medical marijuana, say you're going from Washington down to Colorado with your medical marijuana and you get stopped in Idaho, it's almost like guns too. What happens?
You are held to Idaho standards.
Okay.
I mean, if it's against the law in Idaho, it's against the law in Idaho. It doesn't matter whether you have a medical marijuana card from another state. I would advise you to stop at the border and dump it before you proceed.
Okay,
There
you heard
go.
it from Grant
Fair
Loebs
warning,
right
Twin
here.
Falls County
More freedom
Prosecutor.
of advice.
Yeah, there you
This
go.
is good stuff. This is good stuff, Grant.
And again,
there you go.
common sense.
7360300 is the number to call here on Top Story, and Jill is going to tell us. Oh, you're probably going to hold that.
I'll hold it because it's more interesting to hear what Grant has to say. All this wisdom that people are getting from him today. Take
free
notes,
legal
people.
Advice. Use common sense.
Use common sense.
That's the overarching theme of my.
Do you have a pillow with a needle point in your office? Use common sense.
No, hopefully the people in my office know that.
They should. Yeah.
For
all their clients.
There was recently a case where we had a murder in Filer. The accused was related to Brent Ranke from the director of Department of Corrections, and you recused yourself from that case. Based on how does that work?
Well, there aren't any real bright lines on that. But when we have a case come before us, law enforcement arrests somebody, or a case is being investigated. Where I believe, and that there's either me or somebody in my office has either a close relationship, a close positive relationship, or a close negative relationship with the person who's being investigated or who's been arrested, then it's wise to seek somebody outside to do that prosecution. For instance, obviously, if my brother was arrested, I shouldn't be the one who decides on the prosecution there. If my best friend is arrested, I shouldn't. If my worst enemy is arrested, I shouldn't be involved because I can't be unbiased. And of course, in this case, Brent Ranke is a well-known local person. He was a county commissioner while I was in the office. He is the director of the Department of Correction. I work with Brent quite a bit, and it didn't seem that there was a good way to handle that other than to get somebody else to do it, because we can't do our jobs if people are constantly thinking, is somebody getting favorable treatment?
Right.
Or is the prosecutor out to get that guy because of some personal thing? Either thing is bad. And, the victims in a case as well as the defendant need to know that this is being handled in an unbiased way according to the rules, and that there isn't any personal favoritism or animosity involved. So that's the reason we sought an outside prosecutor for that. And it's kind of common in a small town like this, in a small community. There are a lot of people that get into trouble who somebody in my office knows. We had a similar case with the stabbing that happened at Canyon Crest a couple of years ago now. And there were lots of ties to people in my office through friendship and through school and through things like that with people on one side or the other of that. So we had somebody do that case. And we get the same thing from other counties. I'm currently involved in a case in Ada County where the similar thing has happened with the Ada County prosecuting attorney. So
would that go with the sentencing? Because if his grandson is now in the Idaho Correctional Facility, would people think he was getting favorable treatment, or would he have to go to a facility outside of Idaho?
The Department of Corrections will have to make their own assessment. I mean, obviously, Director Renke is not, a walking boss. He doesn't walk up and down, the cells checking people out. But I'm sure that there will be some discussion up there as to what will happen with Mr. James when he gets to the penitentiary, and that's not obviously my call. But anyway, I mean that's the reason for it. And in this particular case, because Director Renke is so much a part of the criminal justice system everywhere. And, there isn't a prosecutor in the state that doesn't deal with him. We had to try to find somebody who felt that they could handle this case without any, ongoing or perceived bias. And so rather than have a sitting prosecutor somewhere do it, who has some of the same problems that we do with it, I asked Mark Heidemann, who used to be the prosecutor in Bannock County, to do it. He's no longer in office, and so he consented to do it, and that's who's handled this case so far and will through the sentencing.
So this kid, Mr. James, how old was he? Like in his
early 20s.
So I heard this case. He stabbed someone 25 times and shot him in the face. And I was just curious, did he say why? I mean, I wasn't following the trial, but I mean, you have to wonder what would cause such. You'd have to say anger or something to stab someone 25 times and then shoot him in the face. Was there anything that was said?
Not yesterday at the plea hearing. At the plea hearing, he just said that he did it for no reason. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the reason he did it, but that's the reason he wanted to give on the record. He probably didn't want to get into what he was thinking when he did it. Obviously, we have an agreement, which is kind of both sides are agreeing he's going to get a life sentence with 15 years to serve before eligibility for parole. He pled to second-degree murder, and the judge has agreed to go with that sentence. So there isn't any real reason to argue about the whys and hows.
And the difference between first and second degree, real quick?
First degree is premeditation.
Okay.
Second
So it wasn't
degree is
premeditated.
with malice aforethought, but not with premeditation.
Okay.
All right, Twin Falls County Prosecutor Grant Loeb's always interesting, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks for having me.
All right, time now for the Huckabee Report, brought to you this morning by Waddell & Reed. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors. And the number to call is 736-6563.
That's right.
So, Jill.
Yes.
How about this rental?
You want to rent
of
a mailbox,
mailbox?
Kelly?
I'm
Grant, would
thinking
you like
about
to
it.
rent a mailbox? You know what you can do? You go to the corner of Blue Lakes and Addison. We're on video, remember? Yes, you want to rent a mailbox. Go to the corner of Blue Lakes and Addison. Go in, tell Charles, Jill or Kelly sent me, and you'll receive 1, 2, or 3 additional months free, depending on the length of the lease of your mailbox. So say you're moving away, say you have a home business without a retail location, you're worried about identity theft, people stealing mail. Is that happening at all, Grant? Are people stealing mail?
I don't know. Is there anything in the mailbox anymore?
Yes, of course. We
Junk mail.
And we have a landline.
That's right. There's nothing worth stealing. That's
what
a good
if you
point.
put your bills in there for the mailbox lady?
I don't
or
know.
The
Not too many
lady?
people do that.
We do. Anyway, okay, we're old
Occasionally,
fuddies.
we have some people taking checks if checks are mailed.
Okay, so you know what? A way to prevent that is rent a mailbox
There
at
you
the
go.
UPS store. Thank you. We finally got to the point. So anyway, while you're there, you can print, you can ship, you can pack, you can laminate. There's no drop-off fees for prepaid packages or mail, and you can easily design or upload your projects from any place, anytime. Corner of Blue Lakes and Addison. Tell Charles and the crew that Jill, Kelly, and Grant sent you.
There you go.
Yeah.
When is it? The 24th? We're having lunch?
25th. But
25th.
he's counting.
25th
Next
with
Friday.
Frank Winsveen.
Yes.
It'll be a week from this Friday, right?
That's right.
Okay.
He's bringing his brother Jim, who won before. See,
That's-
Grant, you need to put your name in. You could win.
I maybe get enough of you guys once a month.
No, you know there's never enough.
I don't need a lunch.
We could break bread with you, Grant. Really. We could make Kelly wear a suit.
Well, to get to the point, right. You could win free lunch with Kelly and Jill at the
That's
Canyon
right.
Crest Dining and Event Center, plus a ride in the limo.
That's right.
From here to there and back again.
I know.
And all you have to do is go to our website, newsradio1310.com, click on Win Lunch with Kelly Class and Jill Scheme, type in your information, and then listen for it's usually the first day of the next month we pull the winner out of
That's
the
right.
hat.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's you win, just like it was Frank for June. Now we'll be pulling a winner out of the hat the first part of August for July.
That's right. That's how that works. August 1st, we're pulling the name, so you got till then
That's
to enter.
right. So do it.
So, Grant, you might change your mind.
Tomorrow we have the State of the City and more, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you all later. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal. Bye, Grant.
Goodbye.